you guys remember when Bin Laden was caught? When they got Bin Laden? So I was there the month after.
Was she at work? Is she okay? Did she get out? And you watched all these people streaming out of the buildings, and you saw, I don't know if you've seen the footage of a guy in a wheelchair being carried out. I don't know how much you've seen of that. That was my librarian at school's brother.
I was actually still in Jordan during the I missed every holiday you could think of while I was gone on this one. You just get used to it. It doesn't make it any easier.
It was just minutes after 7 a.m. About 1 month earlier, my branch had moved from our old space into the newly renovated Wedge. The space still smelled fresh and new, and though cubicles dominated throughout, they were modern and clean and stocked with the latest computer equipment. It was an interesting time to be working in the Pentagon.
This is the Global War on Terror Symposium. We've had veterans of every range, most of them combat veterans, but not all of them. We have male combat veterans, we have female combat veterans. We also have the wife of a commanding officer from a military base who talks about what it was like when her family was deployed all the time. And they're going to share with the kids their stories, their experiences, their impressions, and how it changed their lives, and really what the meaning of sacrifice is for these guys. So I was thinking about this upcoming year last April, and thinking about the age of my students when I was considering the graduation years, and it was getting to 2020, and realizing when that kind of hit me that none of my students, juniors, were born. I asked, in fact, this year, that my oldest student was born 7 months after 9/11 happened. And very few kids in the school have been born at all by the time this happens. The important part as a historian is this: for 222 years of America's history, and I go back to 1775 when we shot at Lexington and Concord. So for 222 of those years, we have been in combat. For most of us in our lives, it means we've had periods up and down. For every year of these kids' lives, we've been boots in the ground, combat somewhere. And that perspective kind of struck me. They need to hear from those who've been there and done that, and how that's impacted them.
When 9/11 happened, I was only 2 months old, and my mom always tells me the story about how she had recently brought me home from the hospital, obviously, and she was just holding me in the kitchen when the news broke out about 9/11, and she was just thinking to herself, what kind of world have I brought my child into? It's really important that they get to share a story, because it's now that a lot of kids weren't born yet, and so what we hear about it is just from books and different history lessons, but to hear from actual people who are living and went through it is life-changing.
What it was like, what people went through with those experiences from all different types of backgrounds. So people from the Coast Guard, they have different experiences from people from the Marines or whatnot. They have different stories, and you can really learn in depth of what 9/11 actually is, what it means to Americans.
Yeah, I think going off of that, it's just there's typically that stereotype or mindset when it comes to thinking about the military, and definitely going to and meeting all these veterans definitely changes the perspective that I have on serving.